They don't have to kill you to destroy you. Controlling your emotions is enough. That's how the world breaks you now. Not with swords or shackles, but with shame and guilt, with silence and soft voices. The most effective form of control isn't physical, it's internal. It's the invisible kind. The kind you don't even notice until you're already in pieces, wondering how you lost without ever stepping into a fight. They don't bring chains anymore. They bring smiles. They don't storm your gates. They cry on your shoulder. Because if they can make you feel, they can make you move. If they can get inside your head, they don't need to hurt you. You'll do it to yourself. This is how control works in the real world. Not through violence, through emotions. The most dangerous manipulator isn't the one who yells. It's the one who whispers, "You're overreacting." Since childhood, you were trained to believe emotions made you human. That feeling deeply made you good. But the deeper you feel, the more predictable you become. The more you care, the more strings you give them to pull. And when you're full of empathy, you become the perfect target. They'll use love to distract you, fear to cage you, guilt to freeze you. Every tear they shed, every tragic story they tell, it's not always real. Often, it's calculated. It's strategy. Because when people can't win with truth, they weaponize emotion. They'll drown you in feelings to bypass your logic. They don't need to be right. They just need to make you doubt yourself. And once doubt is in your head, your decisions are no longer your own. The sad reality? The most emotional people are often the most controllable. The ones who love without question, who forgive without consequence, who cry over those who wouldn't lift a finger for them. They are exploited again and again because they've been convinced their softness is a strength. But in this world, unguarded empathy is a liability. If someone knows how to make you feel bad for standing your ground, they own you. And that's why you need to evolve. You don't need to become heartless, but you do need to become emotionally bulletproof. Not cold, controlled, not unkind, unreachable. Emotion is not the enemy. Being ruled by it is. You must learn to use your emotions like a weapon you choose, not a leash that drags behind you. When they serve your purpose, use them. When they weaken your peace, shut them off. Because once your emotions are leading you, you're not thinking anymore. You're reacting. And that is exactly where manipulators want you. They want you apologizing for what you didn't do, explaining why you have boundaries, justifying why you're not giving more, all because they know your feelings make you hesitate. You'll betray yourself just to be seen as kind. But that isn't kindness. That's emotional slavery. The people who win in this world are not the ones who cry the loudest. They're the ones who can stay silent in chaos, who can look love in the face and walk away if it becomes a threat. This doesn't make them heartless. It makes them free. Because people will test you constantly. They'll push your buttons to see what reaction they can harvest. And if you respond, if you get angry, if you chase validation, if you explain your soul to someone committed to misunderstanding it, they win. But if you stay still, if their tears don't move you, if their guilt trips fall flat, if you sit in total silence while they spiral, they panic. Why? Because their weapon didn't work. They cried and you didn't chase. They yelled and you didn't flinch. They twisted the narrative and you didn't explain. You stood there, calm, centered, emotionless. And that is the power they fear the most. When you no longer need to be liked, when you no longer explain yourself, when you no longer fear being the villain in their story, that's when you become unbreakable. And very few people ever reach that level because they've been trained, conditioned to believe detachment is cruelty. That emotional neutrality is a flaw, but detachment is not cruelty, it's clarity. Because in a world full of performance, you need to know what's real and what's manipulation. Manipulators don't need facts. They just need your heart. They feed off your guilt, your hesitation, your empathy. You were trained to bend for people who would never bend for you. You were taught to flinch at other people's pain, even when that pain is used to trap you. And if you don't learn detachment, they'll keep bleeding on your peace and calling it connection. They'll cry in your arms, spill chaos in your lap, and when you finally say enough, you become the bad guy. This is how emotional warfare works. They pretend to need saving, when in reality they want controlling. And if you're the kind who feels everything, if you don't know when to walk away, then you're not dealing with emotion anymore. You're being used. That's the harsh truth. They don't want healing. They want power. They don't want resolution. They want leverage. And empathy is their entry point. So if you're still walking around with an open heart and no armor, understand, you're not kind. You're exposed. You can care and still walk away. You can understand and still say no. You can love someone deeply and never speak to them again. This is what real emotional maturity looks like. This is what psychological freedom sounds like. You want to know what terrifies manipulators more than anything? A person who no longer reacts. When your peace becomes immune to their chaos, when their mind games start hitting walls instead of wounds, that's when the entire dynamic shifts. They don't know what to do with someone they can't move. And if you're truly done being a puppet in someone else's emotional theater, then you must master the one skill they can't defend against: cold detachment. No more flinching at guilt bait. No more chasing closure from those who profit off your confusion. No more over-explaining your truth to people who have no interest in hearing it. You think you're dealing with conversations? You're not. You're navigating traps. Triggers disguised as talks. Pressure masked as concern. Every soft voice and every dramatic pause has a purpose: to get inside your head. They've studied you, your kindness, your need to be understood, your fear of being the bad guy. And now they twist it. They say things like, "After everything I've done for you, no one else would put up with you. I guess I'm just the villain, right?" Every one of those lines is a hook. And if you bite, you bleed. They want you explaining, defending, begging for their validation. Because as long as you're reacting, you're not thinking. You're too busy trying to be fair, while they're busy trying to win. This is the game. They poke until you break, then say you're too emotional. They press your pain points, then act shocked when you bleed. They set fires, then blame you for the smoke. And because you're human, because you have a heart, you want to fix it. You want to make it right. You want peace. But that's the trap. The more you seek peace with a manipulator, the deeper into their chaos you fall. You can't heal where you're being handled. And you can't win if you're playing a game rigged to make you lose. So stop playing. Stop defending yourself in rooms built to destroy you. Stop opening your heart to people who study your soul like a map, just to find the quickest way in. Because the real power move isn't confrontation, it's silence. It's not ghosting, it's becoming emotionally unreadable. You don't disappear, you just become untouchable. Let them scream into the void. Let them beg, manipulate, accuse. You stay still, calm, controlled. No reaction, no emotional outburst, no apology for finally protecting yourself. That's how you win. Not by out-yelling them, not by convincing them, but by making them realize they can't move you anymore. You become unpredictable. You become unreachable. They don't know what version of you they're getting, because the version they used to play doesn't exist anymore. And without your predictable reactions, they're powerless. You see, this isn't about revenge. This isn't even about being cold. It's about clarity. When you stop explaining yourself, manipulators panic because your silence doesn't give them ammo. It doesn't give them room to twist your words. It gives them one thing only: consequence. They can't gaslight silence. They can't guilt trip a wall. They can't manipulate someone who simply refuses to engage. That's the power of detachment. You stop feeding their ego. You stop being a character in their drama. You stop being the fixer, the therapist, the emotional crutch. And when you finally walk away, not with rage, but with peace, they'll feel it deeper than any argument ever could. Because emotional detachment is louder than any scream. It's the kind of silence that echoes. And here's the truth they'll never admit. They need you more than you ever needed them. But they only realize that once your energy goes silent. That's why you must guard your empathy like a vault. Let it be earned. Let it be selective. Because not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone deserves to hold your trust. Not everyone should get to see the version of you that feels everything deeply. The old you, the one who gave and gave until there was nothing left, was never weak. But they were exposed. The new you is different. You don't explain your peace. You enforce it. You don't justify your detachment. You protect it. Because when you truly realize that you don't owe your pain to anyone, you stop apologizing for walking away from chaos. You stop giving CPR to connections that have flatlined for years. You stop explaining to people who only listen for ammunition. You stop letting guilt override your gut. And most importantly, you stop confusing emotional labor with love. You are not a sponge for someone else's pain. You are not their project. You are not their redemption arc. You are a person with limits. And those limits are not flaws. They're boundaries. So remember this: empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. Kindness without clarity is emotional enslavement. And peace without detachment is temporary. You are not here to fix everyone. You are not here to sacrifice yourself for those who wouldn't bleed for you. You are here to build something unshakable within yourself. Something that can't be moved by tears, twisted by guilt, or baited by chaos. That something is called emotional sovereignty. It's what makes you dangerous in a world full of manipulators. Not because you attack, but because you don't react. So if this message hits something in you, if you felt yourself nodding in silence, then you already know what you need to do. Guard your energy like it's gold. Protect your emotions like they're a kingdom. And never ever forget this. They don't need weapons to break you. They just need your reactions. So stop giving them the ammunition. Because the moment you go still, when you stop flinching, stop explaining, stop apologizing, that's when they feel the shift. That's when you win. And the best part? You don't have to say a word. They'll hear your silence louder than any scream. They'll feel your absence deeper than any revenge. And they'll realize you've become someone they can no longer control. If you're done being manipulated, used, and drained, then join us. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and step into the mindset that doesn't bend, doesn't bleed, and never ever breaks. Because this isn't just a video. This is how you take your power back forever.